Bum 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 bum.
Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome back to the Kwacha podcast. My name is Kandwani and I'm joined today with my lovely guest. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Muila. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Kandwani.
Of course. I'm so glad you could make the time. I know you're very, very busy.
No, I am just so sorry because I was really scared I would be late. And yeah, things happen.
No, I know. Life gets the better of us sometimes, but we made it after some technical difficulties. We're actually up and running now. But yeah, so welcome to the podcast. This is the second episode. Yes, and I'm just very excited to have you on here. I hope to have a variety of guests, and I'd just love to have this conversation with you for our audience's listening pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Of course. So we like to start off with a segment called The Blessing of the Week. So this is just highlighting someone out there in the world who's doing a good deed and helping other people, because, you know, the news sometimes is just full of all of the stuff that went wrong. But it's good to shine some light on some of the good stuff. So this week we'll be highlighting Copper Rose Zambia. So Copper Rose, I believe, are an organization. So I just pull up what they do. But the name Copper Rose, at least how I best understood it, how it is explained, is that copper is Zambia's largest export. And so they use that name. It's a play on words. So Copper Rose, and that's supposed to be Zambia's women and how we are an asset to the company. Oh, not the company, the country.
It is a big company.
It is a big company, but yes, it's a country. So I guess their tagline is championing the plight of women. So they say they are relentless in driving change to advance awareness of the challenges women face. So they provide support for women in sexual reproductive health and menstrual hygiene, women's economic empowerment, maternal and child health, and youth and leadership governance. So I've actually met two of the young ladies pioneering this organization, and that's Faith Suilanji Kaoma and Natasha Salipianji Kaoma. So if you do have a chance, please make sure to visit their website and their social media pages. You could find them at copperrosezambia.org. I think they're doing a great thing. What do you think?
I do. I just got to learn about them today, but I am very interested in learning more because I was just looking at all the things that are on a wide platform as well, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And then I like that because I've always told you, like, eventually when the time comes, I want to be a philanthropist.
Of course. I think you'd be well suited for that.
Thank you. And so, yeah, this is like basically a model of something that I would like to do or work with. So
that's great. And it looks like they do take volunteers. So if there's any people out there who are really passionate about these things, I'd really encourage you to get in touch with them. These are young people who are actually addressing needs in their communities. And I think it's so great when there's young people especially.
Okay.
You don't have to be old and gray and wait to be a philanthropist.
You just need to have the capital to do these great works.
I understand.
But yeah, but I would also like to volunteer, and this looks like a very lovely team to be with.
And it's women, you know?
Yeah.
Yay, women empowerment.
Go women.
Yeah, so this is a slightly heavy topic, but we just wanted to keep the people in Nairobi and is it Harare, Zimbabwe in our thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Nairobi, 21 people killed, an armed attack on a hotel. Zimbabwe, we had some protests following a hike in fuel prices.
And then it's just sad because I'm just thinking as in the violence is there, but for two different reasons.
Exactly.
And then it's just like with the Zimbabwe, it's now making me think the government shut down, like what's happening in the States. Like it's everywhere, but the way people react to stuff, it depends on what else is going on, like the hardships that they're facing. Because where in the States you have people helping out, here it's like you've had your enough is enough, and then you just need to take it out somewhere. And then it's a sad development.
It is, and these are countries that are quite close to home. These are our neighbors. So thoughts and prayers. At a certain point, thoughts and prayers really feel like they don't do anything, but it just feels me, like you said, with immense sadness because people get hurt. And like just two very different reactions in different sides of the world. So yeah, but when you hear a number like 21 people killed, it just sounds like a statistic. But these are families that have lost people they love, and people have lost friends. So we just hope that one day we would live in a world with less violence.
Yeah, that's why I think in my head it's just the two different things, because the way you're saying it, and this is close to home.
Yeah.
You have people who someone from Zimbabwe,
Yeah.
someone from Kenya, so as in like it's more personal than it is like when it's somewhere far away, and
Yeah.
then it's like because I was on Facebook, and then there was a guy who was in my sister's class, Arca's class, and then his sister worked at the place where
my goodness.
but then like she wasn't there that day, but still it's like
That could have been her.
yeah, so you would have personally known someone, isn't like, who was affected by this,
Wow.
and so that's scary.
It is a very scary thought. But anyway, we will be praying for the people in Nairobi. And I hope Zimbabwe deserves better. Kenya deserves better. Because, this leads into what we'll be talking about later, but everyone was so glad to get rid of Mugabe. But barely a year later, and there's like a whole different set of problems.
Because the thing is, it wasn't just Mugabe, it was everything. Like, it's the whole system.
Yeah.
Which is maybe like what we just saw with Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
No, not
I think it was Burkina Faso where the whole government quit.
Maybe that's what we need, isn't just cut it off and start afresh. Because it's never really just one person. There are many people involved in that. And so getting rid of that one person doesn't get rid of all the infiltrations and everything that they had. So,
well, like I say, this is the One Kwacha podcast, so it gets deep. But we'll just take a second and just have something a bit lighthearted. Did you see the article? I'm not sure which paper this came from, but it was shared by the Zambian Feminists page on Twitter. So the headline is, "Miniskirt lands girl in court." Thoughts?
I appreciate that Zambia is conservative.
Yes.
But, like, because I know I was supposed to go to court once, and then we were being told you can't wear pants, you can't do this, you can't. As in, I don't get why. If you're a woman, it shouldn't be a moral thing. As in, like, where you go to I don't know if she's sentenced to jail or whatever. I've just never understood the whole stripping of a girl when she's naked, when she's in a miniskirt. Or why that she would end up in court. Like, what's the logic behind that? Where does that come from?
So, here, according to police records, the juvenile was allegedly wearing a short skirt as she was passing through Kamanga police station. At this point, a police officer asked her why she was wearing a short skirt. In response, Mwanza wondered why the officer questioned the length of her niece's skirt, when he allegedly failed to ask the same question after other women who had similar outfits passed through the station. But she was taken to court for wearing a short skirt. And this, I guess, what was reported to the courts technically was behavior likely to cause breach of peace.
How? As in, like, this is the blaming the victim kind of thing. Like, even though she would have just been minding her own business, and she's a child, a juvenile.
Yes.
And so...
Oh, she was 16, if I didn't mention that.
So, if men will be so disturbed by her, they should be the ones who are arrested, because you can't trust them out in public, because who knows? And you can't blame someone from the way they're... No, that's just wrong. How?
I feel the same way.
It hurts me.
I almost feel like it's a waste of government resources to police the way women dress.
Because what makes us different from Muslim countries, for example, isn't saying that you have to dress a certain way because of this. Isn't like, what's the basis of that?
I don't know. And the thing about short skirts, it's all relative. So how short was it? Was it that it maybe just hit her knees?
And then also, isn't like, what does she look like? And isn't like, is she on the bigger side? Is she on the smaller side? Because it's unfair, but sometimes people who are smaller can get away with something shorter, and then she's, like I said, she's a child. She should be able to wear whatever she wants, and it just irks me.
You can see, but Mila is really just irked. You can see it in her face, in her body language. But I guess these are things we have to face it. I mean, like, our culture is so intertwined closely, like with religion and everything else, and so that's why it leads, because we do have a ministry of religion, so it would make sense why the cops would be policing what people wear.
But with the Ministry of Religion, like, what role do they actually play in the governance of Zambia?
Did you hear about them sending pastors to exercise a hospital?
No. What was happening?
I'll just look it up. But apparently there's been a hospital that's been haunted with, like, the ghost of a lady, I believe, who died during childbirth. So it's almost like people are afraid to go to the hospital. So the ministry had a budget of nearly 500,000 kwacha to send a group of pastors to go and exercise.
Okay, so
the hospital.
How does 500,000 kwacha work?
It's for living expenses, transportation of the 22 pastors. I think it's about 20 or more pastors.
So where did these pastors come from? Like, are they local pastors? Did they import pastors?
No, it's local pastors. Yes. Ministry of Religion to lead team to exercise ghosts at Gwembe District Hospital. Everything is connected. Everything is linked.
Like, it was actually... we don't have money to be wasting on some... Like,
don't say wasting money. They have to go and get rid of this ghost.
They can... why not do it pro bono? You don't have to all go there. It can...
Mila, it's for the anointing oil, for the Bibles, for the transport from Lusaka to Gwembe.
So we do have Facebook Live. We can have one pastor there who is the point of contact.
Wow.
Different pastors, wherever they're from, those 22, 27, whatever it was,
yeah,
where they don't have to physically be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can get the local people to pray as well.
Well, they do say to be in conjunction with men of God in Gwembe district. So they're already mobilizing the people who are on the ground. But you just need everyone, team effort.
To travel all the way to Gwembe.
Yes.
To pray for one ghost.
Yes.
Okay. But since we're bringing in the Bible, wherever 2 or 3 are gathered, where does it say we need 22? 22, 27, what was it?
I don't have the number
but
here.
Yeah.
This is from Zambian Observer, but
So that's why I am still sticking to it was a waste of government funds, which could have been used to help a different industry.
Well,
it could have been used to, because everywhere people are just looking to make money.
Okay, I exaggerated the number, but here
Still,
it says that it was going to cost 200,000 Zambian kwacha.
That's still 200,000 too much.
Why? But I just cut the amount in half. How is that still too much for you?
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's to transport 22 pastors from Lusaka to Gwembe to fight the ghost through prayers and fasting.
For 7 days.
Yes.
This was just someone who wanted a week's
Yo,
vacation.
if they're fasting, then they're not eating.
So how? How? What are they? There's maybe they're doing a Daniel fast. That one you have nuts and everything.
They need to put this in the fine print.
Because I don't think it costs 200,000 in Gwembe to stay for 7 days. Like, no matter how luxurious your life is.
Well,
when you're not eating.
Mila, don't ask me. I'm just reporting the news. So that's what we have. But anyway, back to the courts and the miniskirt. Anyway, so yeah, those are my thoughts. I just feel it's a waste of resources. And like you said, the onus should be on the men per se, not victim blaming of young women and all of that. I mean, times have changed. Yes, Zambia has become a tad bit more westernized. The hemlines are much shorter. The clothes a bit tighter. But people should be free to wear what they want without judgment.
Because I feel like even, like, you can't even say traditionally and whatever, because women would go around without tops.
Yeah.
So what's the difference with showing them but covering them?
Yeah.
They're still there. They're not as exposed as before. So what's the difference?
I don't know.
And so you can't be taking a minor to court because of the way she's dressed.
Well, they took her and her guardian And apparently the Guardian rudely answered the police, so that was the problem.
So that was the main thing. The cop didn't like the
I have no
answer.
idea. I just feel like every time you go to the Zambian police, you just have to be so respectful. I remember I was trying to get a police report because I'd lost my provisional license, and you just have to put "sir" at the end of everything to get them to cooperate. Because I remember I was directed. I was told, okay, go to this room to get the form, and you get there, and the guy wanted to send me back to the front desk. You know, you get there and someone's just lounging, like middle of the day.
But then that's how I feel like a lot of not
Civil
not even just Zambians in general. Let's not even blame the government. Like, even if you were to go to a shop, you're going to spend your money. You have to beg them. Can you do this for me?
Yes, please, sir. I'm looking for a form, sir, because I lost this, sir. Could you please help me, sir?
I don't know how you did that.
But I got it at the end of the day. But
you were humble, and it worked.
You have to play them at their game, because they could just choose to not cooperate, and you
and then
get
make
what
it
you
difficult for you just
Exactly.
because they want to feel that respect.
Exactly. No, everyone likes to feel important once in a while. So,
But they should traumatize a little girl. I'm also exaggerating her age, but they should traumatize a girl just because they didn't get the respect that they were looking for because they're a cop.
I guess so. I mean, isn't that the reason some people become policemen, to instill fear in people and demand respect?
I have always. It's a sad thing, but Zambian cops don't scare me.
I once had an interaction because of illegal driving, and I remember crying. But at the time, now I've grown.
But okay, were you crying because you were scared or crying because you were guilty?
I was crying because I knew I'd be in trouble with my mom.
Exactly. Nothing to do with the cop.
Yes. And now to everyone, please only drive when you have a license. Do not endanger the lives of other people on the road.
Because I feel like with the Zambian cops, you get one of two kinds. There's really, really skinny one that you look like you can blow over, or the other one is on the opposite spectrum, the one who you can run away from.
That's true. But all I'm saying is we should have a healthy relationship with our law enforcement. They are there to help us.
And so if they weren't looking for, as in like forcing people to respect them, let's put it that way, as in forcing them to be like, yes sir, to get stuff done that it's their job to do. They're public servants, so they're here for the public. If they were also playing their parts, it would be easier to respect them if they were actually doing their job.
Okay. No, that's very fair. But so miniskirt, and then we jumped around to Ministry of Religion, and then law enforcement. But we also just wanted to talk about these new ZRA custom uniforms, because clearly the government has interesting fashion ideas, fashion choices.
Because that looks like the uniform looks like it's one of those old black and white gel.
Yeah. Totally.
It's horrible. Like, I don't know why.
Blue and yellow.
Oh, it's yellow.
It does look like a shade of yellow. Like, how is this even related to Zambian colors?
I'm trying hard. But the blue for the Zambezi River where we got.
Oh, but those I think are the ZRA colors, so that's why.
Blue and yellow.
Yes, because I think ZRA is blue, and their logo may have some yellow in it. But the choice, the design.
Is there a reason why we needed a change in uniform?
You know, uniforms give a sense of community identity. If people around you are wearing the same thing as you, you feel.
But we did have a uniform before, right? What was wrong with that one?
I have no idea.
That's my question. As in, this is just another scheme. If anything, the 200,000 should have been used to spend on the uniform so that we get a better quality uniform, better quality material, better quality style and cut, and who knows, maybe it should have been a miniskirt instead of pants.
I'm not trying to see a Zambian policeman in a miniskirt, but that would be very progressive for Zambia. But yes, I am at the ZRA website, and behold, blue and yellow. So
there is some white though, so they could have stuck with, because wasn't it white and blue before?
I have no idea. Why not just go it black and have the ZRA logo.
Or it could have been a plain blue somehow if they wanted
Yeah.
to really incorporate the colors.
Well, all I know is that this uniform that we're looking at is not the business. Clearly not the business.
Because it's a sad thing. It's good that they're proud. They look proud of their uniform.
I mean, if your workplace offered you clothes, that's less stress for you to choose clothes when you're going in every morning.
Didn't they have a uniform before? Like what? That's my...
It's 2019. New year, new me. ZRA just wants to do better. We can't fault them for that, can we?
No, we can't.
All right. So
It brings them together, so...
I'm sure a number of you have seen the 10-year challenge going around on Instagram. At the time of recording, even this is late. I think the wave has passed. People aren't really doing it anymore.
I don't know. How do you feel about the 10-year challenge?
People did it. Then I saw that article about how this may just be the tech companies trying to use an algorithm to like learn to detect people's faces, even with the name change. I'm like, aha. There's a reason why I didn't participate.
I saw that, but I think they were saying it's with the FBI.
It could be, but I mean, like, even Snapchat filters, guys, we have to be careful.
The same thing.
Yeah, because it's all about facial recognition. Like, it has to map your face and know, like, where to put the stuff, and if you use it all the time. Can I just say that some filters really disturb me? Like, when people, some people these days do not take a picture without a filter. I'm like, do you like yourself?
But then, because you get that flawless skin, it's all covered up.
But it makes me worry. Because I actually saw a video on YouTube or something, where a girl actually got surgery to look like
a Snapchat filter.
Yeah. But not like one of those with like flowers. That would be weird. But just kind of like how some of them like maybe slim your face, straighten your nose and all of that. And I'm like, wouldn't that lead to body dysmorphia? Like you begin to resent how you actually look in real life.
Because no, that's true. Because even sometimes, like personally, as my crease, like, oh, that's without the filter.
Yeah, like, goodness.
It's all angles filter.
I know, but it really just irks me. And I have so many mixed feelings about social media, so I could go on for days. But guys, just be careful. You're beautiful the way you are.
That's true.
And our differences, our flaws are what make us beautiful. But
I feel like that's one of the small things that could be almost positive about the 10-year challenge. You didn't really have those filters. And then some of them, like, you're like, what am I wearing? But then you still see the pride as in, like, I was feeling myself. I looked good. I look good for that time.
Yeah.
Like today, maybe not. But yeah.
Okay. So us bringing up the 10-year challenge was just kind of a play on how we wanted to look at Northern Rhodesia 54. Will it be 55 this year? So this year Zambia will have its 55th independence anniversary. So it's just more of a 10-year challenge, but kind of like a 55-year challenge.
That's a sad thing, isn't it? Because haven't people been messing with the 10-year challenge though? So it can apply.
It can apply. I know some people just take it back as far back as they want to. Some people even do a TBT to yesterday, like 1-day challenge. But
because I also feel like what people have been doing with the 10-year challenge is like going through their photos to one of the worst photos they can find, and then like a boom adverts and like, this is how I look now. Wow. The dirt is gone.
Anyway, but this isn't an original thing. We're just inspired. There's an article in either BBC about the 10-year challenge with African presidents. So we also just wanted to have it. So we were Northern Rhodesia before independence, and we are now Zambia. And this would just be like a reflection of then and now. So would you say you have a good grasp of Zambian history?
I feel like not as much as I did before.
Yeah.
I'm blaming getting older.
Okay.
I don't remember things as much as I thought I did. But I feel like generally I have a good grasp of Zambian history.
Okay. Well, generally. I did go to the Zambian Museum. I just don't know what it's called, the one in Lusaka. And because my earliest recollection, my dad took us there a really long time ago, And my dad is not a very patient man, so I remember being rushed through the library, and I always vowed to go back and take my time. And I actually went back, and it was pretty sad because this would be the largest. I guess the one in Livingston is much better because it has all of the David Livingston stuff, but this should be the biggest one, and it only had 2 floors. And I think me and my friend were done in like 30 minutes.
Because I'm just thinking, as in, we should. I don't know if there is a plan to get the Broken Hill Man skull
back in
Zambia. Like, I remember when we went to the museum. I think I was in grade 7 or something. Not that many years ago.
Sure.
And then even then, like, I was like, why don't we have it? It's ours. And then because even. How was it? Like, what do you remember? Did any artifact really stand out for you?
What I remember from my first visit, and what really made me want to go back was because they did have, people have done a decent job with what's there. I would not discredit them. And I just remember there was this one which was particularly exciting about the Cha-Cha-Cha uprising. So they would show, like, there's a herb, I think, that was used by people. It's like an irritant. So I don't know how they would do it, but they would use it during the uprising because you had to use all sorts of tactics because I guess we weren't well armed with guns and all of that, so it was a sort of herb or plant that they would use to, like, really, I don't know how they would maybe put it in the people's clothing or just throw it, but to, like, it really can mess your skin up. So I just don't know what it's called. So that was just intriguing, learning about your history and the different things and the different people, because there's like some big names, Simon Kapwepo, but there are lots of other people who were involved in the
that you didn't get to know about. So that's one thing I appreciate about the museums, is in, like, the little people who were involved that aren't as big as you're saying. You get to learn about them, and then you also get to learn about things that's just not in the textbooks and not spoken about. Because, like, even though I'm saying I have a general, I don't think I remember actually learning about the Cha-Cha-Cha uprising. And then now I don't know what history in Zambia is like. It's like what's being taught. And there's certain things that are being archived away and not taught, even though it's history, and being lost in society. So having a museum that catalogs and preserves that is a good thing. And then it would be nice if we had everything. Like, let's go Black Panther it up. Take it back.
No,
and
I
then start
agree.
building our own.
So how do you think Zambia has done for a country, like, in the grand scheme of things, compared to, like, European countries? We're fairly young, 55 years young. How old is Canada?
Isn't it 150 something?
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's one thing that I think is also in perspective. Like, yes, we're still developing, but I remember thinking this some years back, where we were colonialized, like you said, 50. This was like maybe 40 years ago at the time.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but we've still moved pretty fast, as in, like, we're almost at the time, like, right now I'd say we're basically up to date with technology and everything. But then at the time I was like, we're just like maybe 1 or 2 years behind, as in, like, everything else is, but we've basically caught up. But now we've got the internet, we've got good internet, and so we're basically on the same level as other countries.
So your basis of comparing us being on the same level as other countries is internet and internet connection?
Kind of, though.
But
because you, with the internet, isn't, like, we're just not using it as much, but you can have your whole livelihood based on that.
No, that's true.
Like, if a Zambian was really persistent, really tried, they could start making good money just purely from the internet.
Okay, but I think it feeds into other things. Yeah, you're right. And a great internet connection is something that would facilitate business presence, because if brands would consider working in the country, connectivity these days is something that's very important. But I'm thinking of it more so for an angle about the public services that are available to people, especially compared to, like, different countries. So internet is a great step in the right direction. But at 55 years old, how is a country best serving its people? Like, things available, because we're still struggling with corruption, misappropriation of funds. We do not have a great I mean, yes, our transportation system is private, but how best does it serve people? What of healthcare?
Because yeah, with the transportation, the thing is, I would always say that if the transportation was even slightly like what we have here, like I would consider personally using it in Zambia.
Okay.
But with the same misappropriation of funds, how would that work?
No, that's right, because we have a city, or at least both Mila and I are from Lusaka, but we have a city that doesn't appear to have been well planned out for expansion, because right now the middle class is growing exponentially. So you have a lot more people who can afford cars and who are on the road, and this has just led to severe congestion. And so we don't have...
and the internet is to blame for that as well.
Yeah, and then
importing of cars, of cheap cars.
Okay, great. Okay, so you're right. Internet does come with a lot of benefits, but it's just
and disadvantages.
Sure.
Because like I said, importing these cheap cars and everything is like now almost everyone, not almost everyone, a lot of people had the opportunity to become mobile, and then now we had the whole thing of our road systems weren't done right. As in we were thinking we're growing in this space, and then we'll have time to adjust, but we didn't get that.
Yeah.
And so that's why, in a sense, I'm saying we've caught up faster than people give us credit for.
No, okay, yeah, you're right. Sometimes, like we try to do with the blessing of the week, it's easy to focus on the negatives, but there's a lot of good that's come with it. But I'm just like, if given our current trajectory, what would the next 55 years look like?
Hopefully we can deal with some of the corruption and everything, isn't like just have where we can see the development in the country, and then not just with the government, but in all aspects of life, whether it's with the healthcare, with the ZRA in itself, with the way the roads infrastructure is, like just all the aspects. We deal with everything where we can start seeing the economy start to boost, and then just everything, like I said, it's all working together, not just where people are still like, where is the money going to come from to do this and this and this?
Money's
and we
going to come from China.
But if the money is coming from China, doesn't that mean we will owe money to China?
So, this
do you think China would just be like, here you go?
People feel like, or at least, let me not speak for people, but there is the concern that we could be heading for a different type of colonialism with the current relationship we have with China, because we have so much debt.
Because I think that's also partly it's a fear, or I don't want to say it is happening everywhere, but then you also have people like with Russia and back then like the communists and everything, as in, so right now that's China, as in like it doesn't help that China is also becoming a superpower in itself, and then other countries, like we're not going to the United States as much, we're like, okay, we'll just get it from China, they're offering it to us now.
So do you think it's fear mongering on the other countries' part?
I feel like it's a combination, like yes, I don't trust China, like I said, do you think they're just giving you stuff? They have their own agenda and their own plans and everything, but then don't believe what everyone else is saying at the same time.
Okay.
As in, give China little tiny little benefit of doubt, as in to say that they actually care about the development of people as they become a super powerful world power.
Well, I'm glad that you can look at it from both sides. It just gives me not nightmares per se, but it's a cause for concern, because do we have leaders who make the decisions in the best interest of people? Like when they do accept these projects, do the trickle-down effects benefit each Zambian, or are people like lining their pockets and like, oh, this is great for us, but can we afford it in the long run?
For the most part, I would say people are inherently selfish.
Yeah. They
are not thinking about the majority of Zambians. It's like, I'm thinking about right now. I'm thinking about what my family is going to eat.
True.
And then even with that, it's not like they're putting money away. That's what one thing that I also don't appreciate in Zambia. A lot, not even in a lot of places, when you're stealing money. Like, listen.
For the people who steal money, listen.
Just my 2 cents. Let me give you a tip.
Yeah.
When you steal money, at least as in, invest it somehow.
Yeah, invest it.
As
At least
in-
back into your own country, please.
Wherever it is, and like not just where you steal money, you're robbing other people of this opportunity, and then 10 years later, you're like, what do you have to show for it?
The money is sitting in your Swiss account right now collecting interest. Like, why not start a business?
And then, but some
hire
people don't
Zambians.
even do that, as in like this, just to live lavishly, and then they, as soon as they get the money, they spend the money. And then, so after, like I said, as in, there were so many different opportunities that could have been done. You could have built something that would have lasted way longer, had an opportunity to develop someone's life, but then you decided to spend it just like that, just because you wanted to enjoy yourself right now.
Guys, enjoyment is fun, though.
Yeah, but isn't like enjoy yourself and then just put some aside. Invest it, like you said, even your Swiss bank account, and then later when you're broke, you'd be like, oh yeah, and then you start bringing it back into the country.
Okay, so if we had to do the 55-year challenge and to put two photos aside, Zambia 1964, Zambia 2019. What do you think has changed?
I would say the population has grown a lot.
Yeah.
If you were to put them side by side, it would have been a cleaner, quieter, cleaner Zambia.
Yeah.
And then now it's just a little bit like it's growing. It's a little bit more cosmopolitan, and like you've got more people. You've got, now it's even becoming more mixed with the Asian influence, like we mentioned before, with the Chinese.
Yeah.
And so it's a good thing, because you've just reminded me, I was watching a show last night, Silent Witness.
Okay.
And then it was filmed in Zambia, but then and then it wasn't that long ago, in 2008, but then just the way the world was being, it was made to seem like we had these people coming in from I don't know which refugees, being violent and everything, and just the way they were dressed. And then so even back then, I feel like I was saying, it's a smarter Zambia, but now we're more worldly in a sense.
That's true.
We were just more incorporative of what's going on, the trends and everything.
What do you think Zambia is known for? No one
knows Zambia.
Yeah.
Though.
My boss mistook. Okay.
Your
one
boss.
thing where I told her where I was from, I guess, and then the other day when she was like, "Oh, do you plan to go back to Kenya?" And I'm like, "But I'm from Zambia."
Because how I always say is, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Zambia.
Yeah.
Then you just see that blank look in their face, and I'm like, okay. So you have South Africa, on top you have Zimbabwe, and then right on top there's Zambia.
Yeah.
So that little country. And then, so yeah.
We're a quiet country. We don't disturb nobody.
So yeah, we're landlocked. We don't have ports, so they're not sending stuff to us. We're not sending stuff to them. They're taking our copper, but still. And then our emeralds as well. We have good emeralds.
Yeah, we do have emeralds. I mean, okay, can you say 5 good things about Zambia?
We have not had a civil war.
Good.
We're very peaceful.
Peaceful or complacent? It's debatable.
Yeah. We're very friendly.
Yeah, we are friendly.
One thing I would say is we're not that complacent, because
people complain on social media.
Exactly. There we go. But we've I would say 2 revolutions.
Really?
2 social media revolutions. We had the Lipton Lies, like where we actually brought down some publication from the United Kingdom, right?
Okay, but
we stopped a book from being published. Like, it was pulled from shelves.
But isn't that just the peaceful, complacent point? So you're still at number 3.
No, and then also with what was it recently? Because I just remember Zambian Twitter is actually fun.
It is. They are some funny people.
We had my food truck, whatever it was. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
It was.
I'm barely on Twitter.
It was on Facebook. It was everywhere, Instagram and everything. An American gentleman.
Oh, I saw that.
There we go.
When he tried to make the shima and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, we save our indignation for serious issues.
And there we go. He removed everything from social media. He apologized. As in, like, I feel like if we put that much energy into local things, a lot of benefits would be seen.
Okay, so give me point 4 and 5.
So yeah, so we're not complacent.
Okay.
I said peaceful.
Yes. Well, I'll help you. We do have. Okay, I'm very happy. Like, despite everything that happens with the government, people are doing well for themselves. So, like you said, with the advent of the internet and all of that, there are people who are thriving and have started businesses. I mean, it's impressive the number of businesses that come up, and even organizations like Copper Rose, where there are these people who don't wait for the government. I mean, the government does try, bless their souls, but there are people out here who are just like, well, this is something near and dear to my heart, so let me start this. People are thriving in Zambia. Like, I was there last year, and like you said, a lot more cosmopolitan from the fashions. You have people now going to Bali from Zambia, and I'm like, I need to tap into this money. So, okay, I think I could try to give 5. I might steal them from you, but one thing I really like at the core of Zambians is even if someone will barely have anything, people will help you.
Yes.
Because you gave me that example of this lady who needed help out in the rain, and people would just staring and not offering help. But for us, even someone who society would deem as poor or something, people are willing to lend a hand. That fringes on personal space sometimes with how people are all up in your grill. I feel like, but people are willing to help.
I get what you're saying. Is it like we're curious in a sense, like when there's an accident, to be like, what happened? And then but that also draws you towards it. And then if you can help, you help. Yeah. So yeah. And
that sense of community of where, like, if I know people say it used to happen here, like maybe where an aunt or even your neighbor would discipline you. It's not as prevalent, but people take responsibility for someone else's person as well.
Can I just bring it back to the comp with the child? Is it like in that sense? Yeah,
so someone, if there's something wrong, someone would like pull you aside or be like, yo, don't do that, or yo, there's this going on. And staying here for a long time and then going back, I remember either someone approached me to tell me something and I'm like, what does she want from him? But she was actually like helping me, and I'm like, I forgot about the humanity in people. So I like that about Zambians. I think we also laugh despite everything. Yeah. People could be in abject poverty, but people would still be able to dance and sing, and
they find a way to make the most of it and be happy.
Yeah. So resilient in a sense. Resourceful. Yeah. You'd be surprised how creative people get. Something won't come to the top of my mind right now, but there are just times when you see someone doing something because maybe they can't afford the actual thing, and people find ways around things, and I mean, life goes on. So that's really great. Resourceful, using what you've got, making the best out of something, just making it work to survive. Yeah, that's something that people definitely have.
And we're good at making a plan, if that's the thing. As in, like, we don't have it, but we'll make it work somehow, some way.
For the food.
Amen.
The food. I won't say more, but I would really like some bisashi right now with like nshima, maybe even some raw wine there.
This week, I am proud to say I had okra.
Wow.
I had forgotten.
Delele.
Delele.
Yeah.
I had forgotten what it tastes like, but then because you need to use baking soda.
Baking soda. Yeah.
And so I don't know, in my head, the baking soda that you would get would be from the market. It wouldn't
in a
be,
plastic.
It wouldn't be in this little box.
This little box, yeah.
And so but
in the grand scheme of things, the baking soda kills the nutrients.
I don't know. What does it do? What exactly does it do?
Because okra is quite starchy. I think it softens it.
Oh, that's because I was like, do you actually need the baking soda?
It really softens, because okra on its own, I believe, is like a very starchy, hard thing.
Okay, so that it just makes it softer. So it worked.
Yeah.
Like, I can barely remember what it tastes like. It's been that long since I had okra. But when I had it, I was like, yeah, I actually do remember liking this.
Yeah.
And so I appreciated that all the way from here.
And I guess the fifth thing, I think that number 5 is going back to people being friendly. It's just the family, like the importance of family. I feel it's something that you can lose touch of when you come, or at least living in diaspora on your own. It's just, I don't know, like your family, your aunts, how the extended family, you just grew up with all these fond memories of all these aunts or visits to family or wherever, where you just know that you have these people who love you and care so much for you, and it just makes me warm inside.
So yeah, knowing that you can always go to this person or that one, and then they're just like, you don't need to call ahead of time and be like, can I, are you?
You just show up because, heck, you're my family. So, I mean, I miss home. I love my country. And I just hope that the people we put in power one day will really do right by their people.
We can get there. We just have to. Why don't you be that person?
My mom and my grandma said I should not go into politics.
It doesn't have to be.
I would support. Like you, I plan to be a philanthropist too. And because at the end of the day, money is power. Like, government people are really just a front for who actually pulls the strings in the background. So, yes, guys, let us all just get together, get super rich, and change the country.
And then eventually change the world.
Yeah, and eventually change the world. I mean, if I had the money, I'd hire a PR agency for Zambia. Or, like, we're very serious. We want to change our image and get ourselves out there.
But then what would you have put out there?
The PR agency would pick, okay? They'll be like, okay, guys, we're going to highlight this and this and this and this and all of that. But
because out of the 5 things that you've mentioned, what would put Zambia on the map?
Our country is actually very beautiful. And I don't know if that's something that would really want to open up and commercialize. But we actually do have a good-looking country. I mean, everyone points to Victoria Falls first and foremost. But there's the good thing about being landlocked. Okay, every time we mention landlocked, it's got like a negative connotation to it. But we can easily access several different countries because of our somewhat central position. But we also have lots of water sources. I mean, the Zambezi River is not a small river by any means. I'd say, like, what, top 5 in Africa? Top 5? Top 3?
We're up there.
Yeah. Now is, like, number 1, the baddest, biggest. But, you know, the Zambezi, she's got going on, too. But we have all of these scenic places. We do have a couple of beaches, too. So
like I said, we always find a way to make it work.
Exactly. So I guess the PR agency, I would highlight the beauty of Zambia. The people are also like its biggest asset. Zambia, the real Africa. We have flourishing wildlife. We have lots of parks.
But then I just read somewhere, saw something. Giraffes are apparently endangered now.
Yeah.
And
what is not endangered? People be killing.
So can we
animals.
Start
a sanctuary
for giraffes?
Yeah.
Like, we have giraffes there. We just need to bring them together and then keep them. And then when all the giraffes in the rest of the world die,
like, hey, do you want to see a rare giraffe?
Yeah.
Come to Zambia.
Once again, for the people stealing money, possible way.
Yeah, invest in a giraffe today. Promise of higher returns in the future.
Yeah, that's just a side thought.
That would be good. And mining too. I mean, I know copper is our biggest export, but of course with the demand in the markets, that's been a call for us to diversify and not rely on that. But I know we do have a decent amount, like you said, emeralds too. Yeah, so the PR company would highlight.
But then the only problem I have with that is what happens when it finishes. Because I feel like if you do promote the minerals and everything, like, Zambia will just be exploited.
Okay.
They'll come in, take that. We would have commercialized the goodness of the scenic places, and then what will be left with?
Girl, I don't know. All I know is that I love home. Can we say that Hungry Lion is a national resource? A national asset. I know, like, Hungry Lion is probably a South African owned company.
So why not Zam Chicken in?
There's just something about Hungry Lion, man. Like, chicken and chips should be on our flag. Like, we have the eagle, but chicken and chips are like rice and chicken. That's like a staple.
So chicken and chips from Hungry Lion.
Yes, should be on the flag. Because the colors are pretty similar. We have the red for the bloodshed.
The yellow?
It could be like a nice yellow that's a bit orange for the corporate. Like, work with me here. We would make it work. But, maybe even the PR agency, we could get like a modern, minimalistic flag. Because it was so hard to draw that eagle in like social studies or in high school.
So, why would you be taking away Zambians rising against their... What does the eagle stand for? It is rising against.
Yeah, like
rising
a noble eagle in its flight. National anthem. But yeah, the eagle is just the bird, freedom, and all of that.
So,
do you know what everything on the flag stands
for? But of course.
Well,
so we have the green.
Yes, that was the easiest part.
And then we have green, red, black, orange. Now
do you know the order?
You want me to
stripes?
say yellow?
Do you know the order of the stripes in the flag?
I have to say red, black, and orange?
So, I'll pull it up.
Wait, is it black, red? The flag is green, okay?
Yes.
I know the flag is green. And then the next color is...
So from left to right.
Black for the black people. Red.
Red, black, orange. Red, black, got it right the first time. Yeah. I almost thought that the eagle was like in the top left corner. I think it's a decent flag, but all of the African flags are not that different. Everyone pretty much has the same story: green vegetation, red, black the people, red for the blood.
Although what? Okay, I shouldn't say that. But what blood though?
Our uprising wasn't as dramatic, but I guess some people did die.
No, they did.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yo, just because you weren't there, you don't know.
No.
It was hectic.
It was like I wouldn't want to have been there at that time. But maybe, like you're saying, we can revamp it. But again, we're paying tribute to the people who did die.
No, that's true. I mean, everyone just wants stuff that's minimalistic these days. I just wanted my kids to be able to do this easily. Because that eagle was hard to draw. I just remember so many people's egos look like chickens. I remember that for a fact.
And so if we were to incorporate a chicken, that would work. What about the coat of arms?
Oh.
Do you remember what those stand for?
I know that there's a man and a woman.
And for equality.
That's equality. I think, and there's an eagle, of course. Then there's black and white stripes, like wavy stripes.
I remember.
And then is it like a hoe and
a pick? No?
Coat of arms. Okay, so we're looking at it. A woman in red. It's a hoe and a pickaxe. I think a pickaxe may be for our miners. And it does say one Zambia, one nation. We have a cob of maize, of course, maize.
And then was the wavy lines the river or something? Why am I thinking that?
Okay, so guys, we're all learning here. This is very important. Okay, so the coat of arms was adopted on 24th October. The African fish eagle represents the conquest of freedom and nation's hope for the future. The pick and hoe represent a country's economic backbone, agriculture and mining, as well as the characteristics that have influenced Zambia's evolution and nature. The shield, the black and white stripes, is a representation of Victoria Falls, white water cascading over black rock. The Victoria Falls represents the Zambezi River. The coat of arms is emblems of Zambia's natural resources, minerals and mining, agriculture and wildlife. So like in the bottom right corner we have a zebra, and then bottom left we have a mining thingamajig. So it looks like a mine shaft. Okay. Yes, mine shaft. And then the shield is supported by two figures which represent the common man and woman in Zambia. The country's motto is One Zambia, One Nation, which emphasizes the need for unity in a country of over 60 ethnic groups.
Okay, so we're not too bad.
Yeah. This was well done. Who designed it? No one? So much better than the earlier version of Northern Rhodesia. But, I feel like even though not many people know about us, I kind of like it that way.
A little obscure country.
Yeah, only we know how lit it actually is.
No, that's true.
That's fine by me.
We don't need to have everyone coming over. It's the best world secret.
So who did it better, 1964 or 2019? Though I would have liked to be there, like the day the day they announced independence. That party, I'm sure, was like off the chain. Independence.
That would have been as much of the developments that we've been talking about. I feel like we're pretty much the same though. Like we just have more freedoms. We are able to move around slightly better because it can still be improved. Our road structures, if anything, may have been better then than now. But
I really like those throwback pictures that Move On to News Media does when they show like old pictures from like the 60s and how so much has changed.
Because I feel like the country may not have changed that much, more of the people that have changed.
Yeah, people are definitely a lot more traveled now. Internet, a lot more open-minded, worldly, back what you said. So, for sure.
It's a different set of people. And I think younger, in a sense. It's sad as in like we have more young people than older people.
Yeah.
And so just the sense of the way people think and how they react and act to things would be different now than it would be back then.
No, that's for sure. Well, man, it just made me nostalgic. But I really hope that we could have more people like Copper Rose, whoever is listening to this. This is your... I feel like one thing people forget is, at least when I have heard people speak about the country with criticism, they tend to speak of it and other it. They speak about it as though they are outside of it. And if all of us were responsible, or at least understood that we could do something to make life not better, not only for ourselves, but for other people and our children, it really could make the world a better place. So I urge you to vote when you can. Like, things like voter apathy, those are things that hold the country back. But if we all took that personal responsibility for the country and did things when it mattered, referendums, voting, that in turn would... And then if we also held our government accountable, I'm not sure if you could do it safely without being arrested.
But I think we just need to try, and we just need to do it.
Yeah.
And then why I now go back to my Lipton lies is because when you just need to get a group of people and make enough noise, you'll be heard. Like if we can do it internationally, if like people on a daily basis, and in a sense it was drama free, isn't like there was just persistence about it. As in you can make a difference. It's just getting people to actually do it, get involved.
Hold your MPs accountable. It starts from the ground up.
So not even MPs, start with the councillors and the mayors and the MPs and the president and the minister, like everyone, hold everyone.
And then there are cases of like these MPs, especially in like the far off constituencies, that get elected but then only go back right before election time, and be like, hey, remember me? What did I do? So just hold people accountable. If you're listening, I think you can either write a letter to your MP or call them. But this is where... Oh, yeah, but if you're saying that the population is much younger, what do you think of the average age of our presidents and the people in government? Because do they then make decisions that take into consideration the age and the context in which the young people live in today?
We definitely need to have a few younger people. And not saying we get rid of all the older generations and everything.
Hey, Burkina Faso did this.
Like, so you're saying they should be an age limit in the government?
Not an age limit, but yeah, if someone is doing the 10-year challenge, if our government leaders did a 10-year challenge, they would be 60 10 years ago, 50 10 years ago.
Because, okay, the thing with the 10-year challenge, like with African leaders, I would say a lot of those people are still there.
Yeah.
Which is bringing me back to Zimbabwe, where I'm like, you can't just get rid of Mugabe and expect everything to be better.
Yeah, or different, that much different.
Because you still have everyone else who was around him, who was in the administration, still there. So, as in, like, you do need new blood to come in, and then, like, you can phase out the older generation, still keep some, but then
because experience is a good teacher. If they were to mentor the younger,
and then
people,
just know when is a good time to let go, and then have someone else come in and fill your place. You can still make a difference, but you don't have to be in power.
I guess what I would like to see is just younger people, if younger people being allowed to, and younger people themselves expressing an interest in government issues and having a voice heard. Because, like you mentioned, a large percentage of the population is young, and that is something that could be an asset, because those are people who would be an eligible workforce. But then, if they're not represented, we still have a pretty high unemployment rate. And from personal experience, I have friends who are graduates and nearly 2 years, coming up on 3 post-graduation, and are having a hard time finding jobs.
And then that also creates another problem where you keep on getting education. Because I know someone with PhD, for example, and being like, I still can't get a job.
Wow.
But then the more education you have, but you don't have that experience.
Yeah. And experience trumps everything.
It's a sad cycle, but you need to find a way to get in, and then you'll be able to try and make a difference. But then in order to get in, you need someone to let go of that space and allow you to come in.
Well, I just hope. Okay, so we're trying to put Zambia out there, but then again, we don't really want to. But I think it would be great if we had investors, and when they do come in, it's a mandate that a large population of the people they hire should be Zambians. Because another problem people have, I guess, with the Chinese is that they come in and they bring their own people. So they work on these projects, but in a way they pay themselves back.
So the money isn't coming to Zambia, it's just going back to China in a sense. And then if anything, it's going to China, and then we owe China.
Yeah.
So we're just losing money. We're not getting any benefits really.
Okay. So I don't know if it's too soon, but inspired by people like Copper Rose, I was thinking of starting an initiative. It's going to be called Imiti.
Okay.
It's a play on Imiti Ikula Empanga, kind of like how today's trees make tomorrow's forest. Because, like you mentioned, I think it's very important that even from a really young age, we do take care of the people who would be tomorrow's future. So I don't have a general direction for it yet, but I'm really just passionate about education, especially for young people. Because I remember, this is just a really unimportant segue, but meeting this kid who did well, but could barely go to school because of like tuition. Or at least he wanted to go to a far better school, because public schools are underfunded and teachers have all of these large classes and things of that sort. But his tuition for the year, I think, was just even less than $100 US.
Wow.
And you have things like that holding back children from a really bright future.
That's sad, because you said he is intelligent, and so if given the opportunity, he would be
the next engineer or someone like that. So there's lots of people you can help in your community. I know lots of people do drives, and we're grateful for that, or people just donate, either be it books or supplies and things of that sort. But I'd encourage everyone to find out how you could help someone. I'm sure everyone knows of someone in the community or someone who could go to school. So just help people in whichever way you can. Tutor someone. That could really be the difference that someone needs, because in a couple of years, the next 55 years, some people will be long gone. But there'll be the young people now who'll be living in Zambia in the next 55. Wait,
and then
this is 2019? The next 55 years would be 74.
Oh my God.
I don't know if God will allow me to still be here. I should be. The next 55 years. 2074. Yeah.
Right?
God willing.
Barely. Because I'll be almost kind of, but not really pushing 100.
Yeah.
Wow. That's perspective though.
Yeah. So that's just food for thought. We have to do right by our young people. I'm a young person too. We have to do right by ourselves.
So now is the time, like you're saying. So it's a good thing that it's not too early.
Yeah.
Because you started by saying you don't know if it's too early. It's not too early.
Yeah, you're right.
And then because
yesterday was the best time to start. So
and then at least you know what you want. You have that passion, and then just work with it. Let it grow. But wow.
Yeah, so thanks, Mila. I didn't mean to get so introspective, but it was just, I feel the 10-year challenge is a reflection. Like you said, we look back to where we were and what we look forward to. Because one thing I do appreciate in most people's like 10-year challenges, eyebrows were much better.
Back then.
Yeah, no, eyebrows are much better now. Like,
Okay.
if you look at growth and improvement, like eyebrows, woo!
Yeah, they matured. They became thicker, healthier.
So everyone, in a sense, there were some good things about the past years. There's some good things from the improvement, and there's still room for improvement. Because I guess we will look to the future and we'll look back to now and be like, goodness, what were we doing?
That's because everything will always change and evolve, and so even though right now we're a little slow to catching up to like we're saying the young people in particular to being involved in everything, but then eventually we'll have no choice, and then we'll have to go in, and then hopefully the people who are not in our generation, maybe the next one, will learn from our mistakes, because like right now I would say there are not a lot of young people like us who are actually really involved and getting as in like a lot of us, so hopefully by the time we're 10 years from now, when we're doing this, we will be able to reflect and be like, okay, yes, I see an improvement. 10 years ago, there were barely any young people, but now look at this. Older people have stepped down, younger people have come in. So just give it time.
All right. Well, Mila, it was a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you very much.
Will you be coming back?
If you want me, I'll be here.
Of course. So thank you, everyone, so much for listening and tuning in again. So, yes, please search for the One Kwacha podcast. We should be out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter soon. But yeah, we look forward to you listening. And if you have any thoughts, please feel free to comment and give us any suggestions for the next episode. But peace out.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Bye.
Bum 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 bum.